Halloween forever.
Okay, here we go. Welcome, boys and ghouls. We're back with another Minisode. I think I did okay, but I'm your host, Meg. If you didn't listen to last week's episode, well, what are you doing, you ding dong? Last week, Brian sat down with his wife, Kate, to discuss stories 1 through 8 of Deathcember. He also had his adorable kids on to talk about Nightmare Before Christmas. It was probably one of the most wholesome things I've ever heard. I don't know if you got to check it out beforehand, Dave, at all. It was super cute. I was into it.
I have not.
It's okay.
It's been a crazy week.
So today I am sitting down with my friend and colleague, Dave Cerminara, owner and what I will call you a Mead Master of Apis Mead and Winery, to discuss stories 9 through 16 of Deathcember. How are you doing tonight?
I'm awesome. Yeah, it's having a good thing. Thanks for having me on. It's good to see you as always.
Thank you so much for being on. So we'll start off with what are we drinking tonight? What do we got here?
We're starting with this Arche Christmas ale.
So where are they from again?
They're from Akron, Ohio. A friend of mine turned me on to these guys, and I don't know, they're pretty killer as far as what I can tell. They seem to kind of focus on bigger beers, stouty stuff. That's always good for me.
Yeah.
Especially what, time of year we are.
You know what's nice is that you told me that it was 9%, and I already prefaced saying that I was going to get super red-faced immediately,
sure.
Which I'm okay so far. Just thanks for checking in, guys. But it's not, it's not too hot, for being 9%.
It actually isn't. Yeah, I was
really
thinking it was going to be big fusel, but it's not crazy.
Yeah, and I like also that the characteristics are just super, not in your face, but they're subtle. There's some sweetness going on here. But, the spice character's not overwhelming. I could be okay drinking on this.
Yeah, it's nice to split a can, being a 16-ounce can. I'm not going to chug one of these or anything. But yeah, it's a good balance. Whatever it is, cinnamon, nutmeg, probably allspice or something, and definitely honey. But like you said, not too sweet, nothing crazy.
Mm-hmm.
The 9.5 is going to kick you a little bit, but it's a Christmas ale. What are you supposed to do?
It's motherfucking Christmas time, so we got to drink it.
I was going to ask if I could cuss, so that's good to know.
Yes, absolutely.
You're well, Brian's kids were on. I'm sure they're not cussing as much as us,
I know it, but I will listen to him and his wife curse the entire time. But yeah, no, we're totally cool with that. We also have sidecars. I know you're sipping on some hams over there, but
always.
But I did bring us some Genesee cream ale because I was just in New York.
Classic cream. I'm gonna crack that now anyway.
Please do. It's just so nice.
This is one of my top 5 beers of all time.
When I would go out to dive bars in my hometown, this is the light beer that I would drink. But I know you will absolutely appreciate this. That I went out to a bar called the Wine Cellar in downtown Jamestown. And I used to drink Finn and Mats there all the time. And I was a little worried that they weren't making Finn and Mats anymore, but they motherfucking had it on tap.
Are they? Nice. I haven't seen that in years.
Yeah.
I was just saying that to somebody. I was like, I like Southern Tier, always have. And I just feel like that was their heyday. It was the Finn and Mats, that was everywhere for a long time. And I guess maybe I don't see it around here.
Yeah.
It's
absolutely.
Probably, there, but just not around here. I always just see the obvious around here.
Yeah. Give me a Phil and Mills or give me Death. I have a really nice memory of this bar specifically because when I was first getting into hockey, Penguins were doing really great, and I would go to this bar called the Wine Cellar, and then I would drink Finn and Mats, and I would watch the hockey game because they would always put it on for me. And then subsequent years after I moved away, I would come back, and this one older gentleman bartender, he would always remember me Phil and Mills, and I'm like, yeah, bud.
Phil and Mills.
Yeah.
You kind of got it. Just pour it up, dude. Yeah, thanks for remembering me.
It was always nice. It was always nice. So we went and played some pool and drank some Finn and Mats. It was great.
I've been digging on that 8 days a week they put out. I don't know if that's pretty good. I thought it was a hazy. The bartender gave it to me as a hazy at the local. Yeah.
Okay.
And I was like, you have any lager? No craft lager, but we just got in 8 days a week. I'm like, fine, I'll take it. I'm having one and done. She brings this over. I'm like, what? This is a 4.5% lager.
Yeah,
this is not a hazy.
Nice,
it's not even close to it.
They actually have a grapefruit version, which I feel almost stealing the Shinerbach fandom, doing the ruby, whatever they call it.
Yeah.
So it's basically a ruby 8 days a week. And
or the Jenny. I mean, Jenny has that ruby red Kolsch, which is, I don't know if you've had that. It's only a springtime for them. I actually bought it stupidly thinking it's just a red colored Kolsch and thinking like, what the hell are you doing? Kolsch is clearly specific. Then I drank it and realized this is grapefruit Kolsch. I never occurred to me that the little things on the can were grapefruits. And I bought a whole case. Within the first beer, I'm like, hell no. Second beer, I'm like, yes. And then brought like 3 cases in the next few weeks. I feel like
that is the perfect sessionable beer that I would like fuck up. Dope. So before we dive into this movie, we're going to do some housekeeping. First, be sure to follow us on all the social media platforms. On Instagram, we got @HalloweenIsForever, Twitter @HallowForever, TikTok HalloweenIsForeverPod, Facebook @HalloweenIsForeverPod, or shoot us an email, which is HalloweenIsForeverPod@gmail.com. So we'd love to hear from you. Send us your message or your suggestions for future episodes, and rate us wherever you can for some stinky action. Just message us a screenshot and Brian will get those sent out to you, which it sounds like he's in a very giving mood right now. So maybe you just go say hi and he'll send you a sticker or something like that. It's always nice. Yeah, you got a water bottle? We got a sticker for you.
It's the time of giving. Yeah. Here's your sticker. Send me 53 cents for a stamp.
Yeah, we didn't say there was no strings attached right now. So also that we just announced last week that the high school horror movies was the winner for our January showdown. So be sure to listen into that to hear me kick the guys' butts and win back the belt. I'm coming for you, Brian. See, I can say all this stuff too because these guys aren't here. Though I know both of them, when they're listening to this, they're going to be wagging their finger at me and coming up with some comeback as they listen. And I'm sure I'll be getting a lovely text from them.
Right now, they're out of the loop.
Yeah, you don't know shit. So I'm here for it. And we'll most likely announce our picks on the next episode, which will be Steve covering episodes, 17 through 24. So be sure to listen out for that. And make sure, if you want to follow along, you can watch the movies in advance and weigh in on which movie you think is actually the best. So before we get started on the movie officially too, I want to dive into a little bit about you, Dave. Funny thing, I stopped here a couple weeks ago and I was like, I don't know what it was. I just had somehow been triggered to remember that you and I have talked about horror in the past. And
we were watching the Gremlins. Yeah. We had Gremlins on the big screen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it was. Yeah. And I was like, oh, shit. Yeah. I was like, you like horror, so I have to have a guest. So come on and talk to me. But what is your relationship to horror? Meaning, like, what might have been like a first horror movie you were into, or when did you get into horror?
I mean, I've been into horror as long as I can remember, really. Like, I remember being a little kid and I probably was like 6 or 7 years old. Like Nightmare on Elm Street 3 came out. And like begging my uncle lived with us at the time, like begging him and my dad to like let me watch. But as like a super young little kid, when we rented it, obviously we didn't have Netflix or anything like that. We're talking like 1987 or 88 or something like that.
We definitely still have Blockbuster though. R.I.P.
Oh, yeah. That's what we did. We actually went. They realized I was such a nerd for like Halloween-y stuff and just horror stuff through like the, whatever it is, like say Disney's Halloween Treat or like things like that, like some of the weird Disney ones or even like the book Scary Stories or Goosebumps, stuff like that. As a really little kid, that's what I would like be into, even if I couldn't read it or understand half of it. So I begged them and begged them and begged them after they talked this up so much. They finally let me watch it. Obviously gave me some serious nightmares. So I was like a 7-year-old kid, but totally worth it. So, I mean, it was kind of like you're an adult now. Sure. Because I was like accepted by my dad and my goofy uncle to like watch this movie or whatever. And I don't know, from then on, I mean, that's kind of the beginning. No, that's pretty much it. I mean, that's, like from there, it just spawned off into whatever I was allowed to watch and whatever else I could read by myself or what could get my parents to read to me or whatever. And I mean, I remember like in say maybe 3rd or 4th grade having one teacher specifically, her name was Mrs. Conley. And she would like, if everybody did what she wanted that whole week, especially during like Halloween-y time, she would read us one of the, scary stories to tell in the dark. Ooh. And it was like everybody would, and we were small little classes, like 20 people or whatever. And that was like the best part of the week for every single kid in that class. They just loved it. I mean, I don't know, something like that. That kind of little stuff like puts you on to this kind of thing, right? And never fell off, I guess.
I think in ways when I was getting into horror early on, or even had certain touches of it when I was younger, because I got into horror, like got into horror like a lot later in life. I just like loved the feeling of being scared.
Absolutely.
Like, or anything that would like take me like to this alternate feeling that I don't get to feel all the time, where I'm like, oh God, that makes me feel really uncomfortable, or like, I don't know, or tense.
Yeah. Storytelling in a tense way is awesome. I even remember going to like, say, Kennywood and just begging to go on, not the roller coaster so much, though I love those, but going in like these little dumb horror haunted house rides where it just turns you left and right and puts a ghost in your face. It's cheesy as hell as an adult, but is great as a kid. You want to do that like 10 times in a row. So
I touched on it one time on one of our episodes, but the vacation that I went on, like when you rented that house in Virginia Beach, and I was like, hey guys, there's this like haunted house tour. Who wants to go? And everyone's like, yeah, that sounds great.
It's like 15
and
hands
we all
up,
are like, this is fucking awful. Let's go home.
I felt bad for that girl because she was really trying to do her best, but we weren't helping the cause either.
We're just like, I feel like if we would have had some sort of fanny pack with beer and maybe there was like a cool open container law there, we would have had a different experience. Or
if any of us had done 1 hour of research, we would have had better stories definitively of what the hell she was talking about. Because at the end of the day, it was just you decide. Maybe it happened, maybe it didn't. And that's fine. But no, tell me more stories. Tell me more horror.
What was the brewery owner? Was it Augustus Coors?
I don't remember.
There was
honestly.
like one. I just remember there's one hotel that like a like brewery owner, like one of the big German guys, like had like died over there, and that was one of her stories.
Okay.
But, all right.
I was having so much trouble paying attention because you guys were.
And I was up there being like, tell me more.
Yeah, some of our buddies were just goofing off too, so it made it even tougher.
It's good.
After like 10 minutes, we're like, all right, this is kind of.
Yeah,
it was still fun though.
I made a mistake, and I gotta keep going with this.
We made it the best of it.
Oh, we did. I think we did too. Do you have like a favorite subgenre or anything like that?
Yeah, definitely. I'm into like the super cheesy slasher. Like no questions asked. Like Sleepaway Camp.
Okay,
I mean, that's one of my big favorites. The Burning. A lot of people are always like, what's The Burning? But yeah, The Burning. Obviously Friday the 13th, things like that. I mean, just like that campy slasher. I don't know. Fun. I mean, there's so much good stuff in there. I really kind of like it all too. I always love when there's like anything animatronic or anything sort of like Child's Play where there's like little dolls or, Gremlins, obviously, things like that. It's always like intriguing to me because it's just so weird.
Yeah. Do you ever get like off put? Or are you just like super into, or maybe you put yourself in like a time and place where you're like, okay, I understand that this is going to be cheesy and weird, but like I'm here for it. Is that kind of where or is it more like you just appreciate it for? It
depends like what I'm looking for. Like if you told me that I went to see the new Candyman, it was going to be like ultra cheesy, I'd been pissy with it because it's such a cool base story.
Yeah.
But if you told me I went to see the new Child's Play and it wasn't going to be cheesy, I'd have been pissy about that. There's a time and place where like, I don't mind sitting through an hour and a half, 2 hours of something that I know I'm going into like just cheese and gore and take it as what it is. Like they're setting a mood, setting a tone. They're just trying to give you entertainment in a way. Totally. And so you got to take it as that in my head,
I agree with that. I like that too. Cause I always like the framing of like time and place. And I know it hits like in our industry all the time too. It's just like the time and place, whether we're talking about an experience of a beer or we're talking about experience of a movie, I think is like really cool to like, I don't know. It also in my hippie ways be like, let's be in prison with it. Like putting your mindset into the expectation of what you're like actually experiencing can make all the difference.
Oh, for sure. I mean, there is definitely a time and a place, and certain things only worked because of when they happened. Like if you tried to do something like Critters now, people would be like, what is this? It would have to be a Netflix B movie, no budget. Yeah. But it wasn't back then. It was a big deal. Things like that. I mean, I don't know, time and a place. When we were kids, anything was interesting. And now, if I was a kid now, I might not even be into horror. I couldn't name anything that would pull me in like what pulled me in the late 80s, early 90s.
And this is just fun because what you just said. Can you think of anything? Because I really can't offhand of like, but I think you made a good point about like, I think even ways a lot of us got into horror early on is because a lot of movies that were coming out had these characters that were somewhat childlike,
Absolutely, yeah.
But I can't think of anything super recent that really falls into that.
Not really. I mean, nothing recent. Honestly, like the movie we're about to talk about is something that would have drawn me in because there is actually a couple of child murderers throughout the film. I don't want to spoil like the parts after we're talking about or whatever, but like there's some pretty creepy kids going on in this thing, you know. So that could be relatable if you're a tiny terror.
You're like, I did that. You're like, feel some semblance of like justification. Oh God.
Yeah, like, yeah, maybe you should watch this 7-year-old Dave or whatever.
Yeah, totally. Now, I feel like sometimes it can be a very controversial question. Favorite holiday horror?
This one was easy for me, honestly.
Yeah.
Puka.
I don't know if I've seen that. Talk to me about Puka.
Yeah, Puka's really weird.
Maybe I need to watch it this weekend.
So, long story short, like I wouldn't know what this is either, but in 2018, Jess and I, my girlfriend, got to go to LA, do a collaboration beer. And we wanted to go to Universal just because The Simpsons was there. Like, it was and that was awesome. I'm a huge Simpsons fan, so it made sense. And also, she's a huge Harry Potter fan, so this was the perfect day.
Right.
It was Halloween time. It was like October 28th or something. So it was like, let's stay for the evening thing. And my buddy ended up meeting us and stuff like that. While you're waiting in line, they're shooting promos to what they call Into the Dark. Like, it's a Hulu thing. You know? And so every single line, we're sitting there watching the same 1.5-minute promo, like over and over. And they do like extended ones, but you know, you're there for the evening. Or we were there for the whole day. So it's over and over and over. And so we got to see the preview when this was 2018, I believe. And I never got to see the movie till like 2019 or even early 2020. But yeah, it's an actor, struggling actor looking for a gig. He finds a gig, but the gig is kind of like he is a mascot for a toy coming out, sort of like Child's Play, very Child's Play-esque. And he has basically two personas in a way, like one when he puts on the outfit, one when he doesn't, and he sort of doesn't maybe remember what happens when he does or doesn't. Okay. It's terrifying. The eyes of it they have to be like 1976, bug headlights from a car.
Yeah, I can't think of the story. The story kind of sounds like familiar, like we've seen it before, but I mean, I feel like it can be so differential, like with like if the character is like scarier or blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean?
It's like scary. It kind of relates back to what you just said with like kids. I think this would relate to kids because it is like a toy that becomes like a nationwide success. And it in a way is kind of like a Furby where it can sort of learn your language, but the whole thing is it does what it wants.
Sure.
And so, yeah, that was easy for me. I mean, obviously if I had to throw it back, it would be Black Friday, no question. Or Black Christmas, sorry. No question. I mean, that's just a cool, like one of the first slashers too. It was just a weird one. Like the call's coming from inside the house. I mean, that's where that came from. And it's iconic as being a slasher fan, right?
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, so Puka's weird. And there's even a sequel now to Puka. So Puka was like supposedly an episode, but it's an hour and a half.
Yeah. So it was part of the Into the Dark.
It is part of the Into the Dark episode, season, whatever.
Then I did try to keep up on those, but yeah.
There's a sequel called Puka Lives or whatever. So there's a second one.
Sweet. Well, awesome. Folks, check it out. Let's fucking get into it. To round it out, do you have any fun holiday traditions or anything?
You were here last week for it. We watched the Gremlins, man. Every single year, no question. That's one of them. Fun. I have a whole bunch too. I mean, I don't know if you can bring video games into it in general, but I do save video games for the horror season. Everything's getting crisp and dying. Like, I'll save the newest Resident Evil or whatever I've got. I mean, anything really is always acceptable, but I kind of try to play those specifically in that time frame. Stuff like that. That's usually my traditions for horror in a way.
Do you find sometimes that not just like horror is just seasonal for like the spooky, October season, but like for the colder season? Is that what I'm hearing? Or you mean,
I play horror and watch horror all year long.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Jess makes fun of me for it, but like, I don't care. She's like, which horror movie are you watching tonight? It's like, well, if we're watching two movies, we can throw one in the mix here, no question.
Yeah.
But no, not for me. Honestly, I'm just busy in the summer, so I don't get to play or watch as much. But I don't know. There's something about being like the sun's going down early. Everything outside's crisp and rustling around. And I'm like, in a VR Resident Evil, or I'm playing the newest, whatever. It might even be an old one from the 90s. I don't care. But I don't know. Something about games and film takes me out of my head. Yeah. And like, I don't know. That's my thing, man. I love it.
I kind of like, just like when it gets colder in general, that like less just tends to go on. And I like that because like I feel less bad about just like sitting home cozied up underneath a couch
for sure
and just like watching horror movies and things.
No one's going out when the sun goes down at 5:30 and there's no festivals or whatever. There's not as many music
our
things coming around.
Our industry has definitely calmed down a little bit, and especially in January, because a lot of people do dry January, and we're like, people stop drinking, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess this is the time I can sleep.
I don't do that, but I definitely take it slow. January is notoriously slow month, so it's time. It's always good to like just get whatever you got to get done. I mean, whether it's repairing the place or just relax with your family, whatever, you know.
Oh, yeah, dude.
You get that time, take it.
Definitely. Well, cool. Are you ready to jump into this, dude? You
guess
also
so.
came with written notes, and I love that so much. I use a typewriter.
I
not
can't
a specific
type. I'm
typewriter.
so slow, and I don't get my thoughts out. Like if I type it, like I could retype this, but it didn't seem to make any sense. Other than the fact I can't read my own writing sometimes.
You know what's funny? Just to tell you about that, I realize as an adult I write like my father. If that's weird, I like write in all caps and it just like looks like his, and I'm just like, there you go.
I also write in almost all caps except for like G's and there's got to be one other letter. It's almost all caps. Yeah, I'm just yelling at my future self.
Yes, we definitely were in the cursive age, so we definitely are like good though. Like we don't need to prove ourselves anymore.
What's weird is if I actually like sit down and write, which I don't do often, but I used to do all the time. I then find myself writing in cursive because it's so much more flowing. I get it out of my head quicker. But for something like this, I was just kind of taking notes as I was watching them, so I kind of didn't forget the pertinent parts of the film.
Yeah, I at one point was doing like a mixture of cursive and print, and that was also a weird time in my life.
Any kid under like 15 is like, what is this?
Yeah, they're like, I don't understand what you're saying.
Hieroglyphics.
Well, they're gonna learn something today. That's all I'm gonna say. Cool. Well, let's dive into short story number 9 called They Used to Laugh and Call Him Names. Now, I'm pretty much just like looking at this movie that this is such a Rudolph ripoff that they're just trying to do as much as possibly can to like touch on that story.
In a way, yeah. It was all these are so brief. They're like 5 to 6 minutes tops, and it's kind of hard to get a cohesive story in that. Some of them really did, and some of them did not.
I know we'll talk about it at the end, but like my favorite one though, because that was my point too with like why the one of them was specifically my favorite is because I think sometimes it can be really hard to get, your entire, plot, you need your like apex of sorts. So like you need to hit everything in a very short period of time. And I think it's very difficult.
Yeah. In 5 minutes, it's almost impossible. Yeah.
Yeah. So this one pretty much opens up to a father and son rider being taught how to shoot. So telling this son all these different rules on how to treat a gun. And I I feel like these are things that like my dad would have told me as well, like when he was teaching me how to shoot a gun.
Anything you should teach anybody that needs to learn how to shoot a gun and however young this kid is.
It's like mind your muzzle, treat every gun as if it were loaded, beware of your target and what's behind it, and you only aim to shoot and you only shoot to kill. Yeah, motherfucker. Okay, so
those are good gun rules. I'm not a huge gun person, but that's probably
we're gonna make a poster about it. I'm going to send it to everyone. Yeah. So Ryder is clearly nervous, and the father's like just very proud at this point too. But we can also tell that like the father is like pushing this son character to like do this because we learn it more from it being introduced to the mother that like this son likes to do things that aren't necessarily very quote unquote manly, which, okay, cool, whatever. But I think teaching
2021,
someone, yeah, I mean, like,
what's that even mean at this point?
Right. We need to be accepting of all things. So, we go to the mother talking on the phone to someone about the son, pretty much describing the son as if he were Rudolph, like the loner type, who isn't like the other boys. And the mother goes, they never let him play any games. So this is where I was like, I'm pretty sure they watched Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and then we're like, let's shoot a short story about this, but make it spooky. Where it was.
I think they just decided to make it a slasher, but the deer is the slasher. Like from the antlers, like that's a classic throwback.
I think it's a pretty good angle.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a little bit confused by it because it's so quick, but I mean, that is like, think of Sleepaway Camp, think of Black Christmas, what we just talked about. Those are always like from the killer's aspect.
That's
and the way they killed it was like, all right, well, if you're just going to do like a 5-minute slasher, at least it's something that I haven't seen before.
Yeah, totally. I think that's actually a great point. Because I was also going to add to, because you don't totally know who the actual killer is. And I mean, in ways, they basically described the deer as being completely mutilated. That's all we fucking saw.
You sort of saw part of it. Yeah. It was like blood and goo. He touches it and it's gooey or whatever.
I actually thought there was like touches of like, I made a note about being like the crazies because you hear the bulletin on the radio about like chemicals being like put in the water.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I almost got this like, is this like a zombie
said it wouldn't matter
reindeer
till
of sorts.
the great thaw, though. But a deer's going to eat out of that creek regardless if it's frozen or running.
Oh, yeah. They're going to try for sure.
So is it a crazy person or is it just a deer? Like wrong turn or whatever you want to say, or a cabin, whatever. Yeah, it's going to be, it's a weird one. Why is the kid pulling on the dad's intestines though?
Oh my God. I'm so glad you fucking brought it because that was going to be my next point. Because I was like, let's just talk about the 3 kills. Let's just like talk about the kills. Yeah. So the deer gets up, stabs the motherfucking dad. And then the kid decides that the best thing to do is to pull on the intestines. And I'm pretty sure the dad was just trying to get the kid to just not pull on his intestines.
Yeah, the dad may have been fine.
There's nothing else.
Yeah. He
kind of went
through his ass, through his stomach. But like if he was able to like wrap himself up quickly, they weren't too far from home. I don't know. He was able to find his mom seemingly in like a second.
Super
But
fast.
was that just because they're short on time for making a film, or were they literally in the backyard shooting into the woods? I don't know.
I'm pretty sure there are laws around all of this. Yes.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Maybe certain states. I mean, we were in Pennsylvania. And people do whatever they want sometimes, especially with deer.
No, I wasn't gonna plan to tell this story, but like, so when I went back to New York this week, I took my partner with me, and he was still sleeping. But I heard my stepmom say, "Michael, there's a deer in the yard." And so, like, they live in the country, and like, it was still muzzleloader season, so my dad's like, "Cool, I'm gonna shoot a fucking deer this morning."
Oh yeah.
So
it's on your property. I think you're allowed, right, in the state of New York?
Yeah. The only thing they had to abide by was that actually the people who were like owning the property next to their house, we had to wait till the deer literally crossed the road.
Yeah.
And then my dad shot it there. But like, as a deer, like I'm like watching with binoculars. I did text my partner because he was still sleeping. I was like, "Hey, my dad's about to shoot a deer. Come on down." I'm like, like somehow like this like backwoods like hillbilly thing. But I noticed like the deer was like limping along the way.
He got smacked by a car first or something.
I don't know. Yeah. I didn't actually get to see it. But so my dad actually shot it across the street, chased it down the way, finished it off because actually, God, I hate saying that. Was the worst way to say that. My bad. He killed the deer and then brought it back and found that like it had this thing on its hip that I noticed also while I was walking that there was like this white thing on its hip, but I couldn't tell what it was.
It was from the water.
It's from the water.
Cabin fever
it drank it. And so it's like it was infected with something. My dad ended up having to like put it back out there and just
weird.
like
It could be rabies or something weird.
Maybe it was weird. It was limping and when the deer saw him, it would try to run and then just like start walking again. And yeah, it was weird. It was a really weird situation.
Yeah, I've seen that thing where like deer do weird stuff. Like they'll even come up to humans and try, like they're almost asking for help once they have some disease. I don't know what it is. I'm not a hunter in any way, but I've seen that like online where they say like, if that's a thing, call the local like humane society and do something about it.
I also learned that because my dad found out when he brought it back that it was a buck, and I thought it was a doe because you couldn't see any horns. And he was like, well, like then he recalled that like if a deer is sick or something like that.
Trains about the thing.
Trains, we just got so much noise. He's like, he noted though that if a deer gets sick, like they'll lose their antlers first. Yeah. So I didn't know that. We're learning new things every day. So yeah, I'm pretty sure we have covered everything that pretty much happened. So Ryder runs back, goes in, tries to get the mom to help, which I kind of fucking hate. And she's just like, "No, we gotta go get your dad." And you're like, she kind of sounds like a mom from Minnesota as well.
Yeah, hey Bobby, yeah.
Yeah, and then she dies. Though the only thing is, what was that shit that got
That's what thrown? I had. That was the last thing I had to ask was like, and I'm thinking it's gonna go right back to like, what the hell was in the water?
Sure.
Was it foaming at the mouth? Was it rabid? Was it some weird disease or whatever the hell they were talking about? That little 1955.
Yeah, the transition to it being like almost like this
like
more
blob.
stickier yeah, like
because it comes out white and brown, and then when it gets to her face, it's almost like acidy or something.
Yeah,
acidy goo.
Yeah.
But again, all this is in 5 minutes, so like, what the hell?
You know what? Like, I wonder. In thinking about a zombie angle from this, is that like, and maybe we're giving too much credit to it by putting him in this much thought, but like maybe it was like that was what could also turn her. And then she came out of it and she's like, "Okay, now I have just this goo around me, but now I'm a zombie."
She didn't die. She was trying to pull it off like spiderwebby goo.
I'm pretty sure she died after she got stabbed too. She got stabbed and then she
did get maimed by some antlers.
Cool. Yeah. So then Ryder meets their demise, and that kind of just ends it. That's it. Like that's the story.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good one. Like, I didn't hate this one. It's a, it's a lot to unpack for such a simple plot. But I think my biggest takeaway is it's a slasher featuring the damn deer, but which is cool. And then I really didn't even think about the cabin fever kind of aspect to it or whatever, but yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I almost feel like we naturally are like, I want there to be meaning here.
Yeah.
I want this to mean something.
For every single one of these, too.
Yeah.
I'm always like deep thought, like, oh, is it? Nope. Jack Handy wasn't here.
Yeah, and some things are definitely way more easy to unpack. But I think, I think you making the connections, like, this is just a straight slasher film, and, like, leaving it there is, like, a great way to do it.
For sure.
Because, I know, like, Brian just, like, tore it apart and was just like, this is a fucking shit movie. And I'm like, yeah, I think in all essence as a whole, probably not a great movie. But, like, certain things I was like, meh. I don't know. That was interesting, I
hadn't been done. Haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, that's for sure. So, number 10. It's called 5 Deaths in a Blood Reed. Is that what I said? Yeah, that's what I wrote.
Blood Red is what I thought.
Oh, Blood Red. Maybe that's what it was, and I just had a typo. See, this is why writing it out works better.
5 Deaths in Blood Red makes more sense. I wouldn't know where to put the Reed, but I'm not sure. Could be Reed. I think it's red.
So I thought this one
was outfit or whatever.
Yeah, I thought this one was pretty interesting. It definitely had a lot of tropes I think like I've seen before, but I still felt like it was like an okay one of them. So we have like the opening scene where we have a very naked woman who's she's tied up, and her throat is slit the fuck open. And then all we hear is being like, but we're family. And you don't really have any context. So you're like, but that's how we open it up. And then we switch to one of the sons, which I didn't catch any names in this. And I think maybe short stories really don't.
Names. I didn't write any.
I put them down as more as like the gambler,
that's what
the drinker, and stuff like that.
Snob son, drunk bro, blind, not blind sister.
I think all of the guys could have been called bro at some point. Right. Yeah, I think that would have been pretty good.
One was a drunk bro, one was a snob bro. I literally wrote that down.
He was the gambler though. So I think what we're coming away from this though is like sin. Original sin
for sure
is really like a big theme to this one. So we have gambler, snobby bro just walking so hotly into the house, being like, mother, I'm here. I kind of like hated every ounce of any sort of like they could have they made a point and they did the point, and I hated every minute of it. Like
I mean, it was pretty obvious. Every single part of it too was like, all right, like the last one left a lot for the imagination. This left nothing for the imagination. It was kind of like, all right, cool. We get it. The mom's sick. We get it that you're writing a will. We get that you guys are all hate each other, and it's all like 7 deadly sins or 5 deadly sins or whatever. Like, all of that makes sense. But I don't know. I guess it's well thought out. If you're going to be able to put that much of a story together in 5 to 6 minutes, then good for you.
Yeah.
But boo, boring.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting story to try to do in such a short film, because like you immediately have to figure out who the killer is, and you're like start knocking people off. You're like, that's not that person. It's not that person. It's not that person. And so we go through. We're just like getting obviously what you said. They're clearly going to talk about inheritance, but they don't talk about it.
Not
they
at all,
totally skip out on that. But then we start going into the murders. We see the gambler who's clearly placing bets. He's like, everyone dies in the way that their sin is like clearly depicted.
For sure, yeah.
So gambler is stabbed and then eventually beheaded. The drunk is stabbed and obviously beheaded too in the basement as he's trying to go grab more booze.
Digging for a new bottle, yeah.
Yeah, and then we wake up and the mother is she like goes to near the tree, and I think what she knows, she's like, I didn't put these presents here, and I'm the rich one here, and none of these people would get presents. And she finds one of her son's head, and she's like, oh my God. Which I feel like that's an understatement for what I would probably do.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Freaking out a little bit more than oh my God, but sure. Yeah.
Very 7-ish.
2007 again. Yeah.
Yeah,
very 7-ish in a way. Yeah.
Totally.
What's in the box?
What's in the box?
They freaked out at least appropriately,
Yeah. Yeah. So we come to find out in this moment, though, that the adoptive daughter, which I actually thought she was completely blind, and they played it off like that maybe, because it almost looked like she had contacts in that were cloudy.
At the beginning, yeah.
Yeah. So I thought she was just blind, or maybe she was just playing it.
Well, she says that you've been fooling us the whole time or whatever. Yeah. So I'm assuming that it was just adoptive bullshit, and she came in and she's supposed to be able to see what others can't. That was kind of where I took it, I guess. I mean, it was like she just sees that you guys are all pieces of shit, basically, and she's gonna solve this and hopefully get the inheritance she feels that she deserves.
Piece of shit.
In a way, I mean.
But also look at this. Okay, this was also one of my notes, was that because in the moment where we're all figuring out it's this adoptive daughter, her husband or partner or whatever it is comes in and whacks her. I'm like, in a normal horror movie, that husband would have been involved because he would have been in the know about getting the inheritance, because I think that was one of her big motivators.
Or at least that she's not blind and there's a big ploy here.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Again, in 5 minutes of film, like if you could stretch us out to like 15, I think you'd be able to tell that part of the story. Sure. But this 5 to 6
would have been in flashbacks.
Is so
like
tough.
That.
I mean, you got to give them like credit for doing that or whatever. But you know, I don't know, man. There's not much more to unpack for this one. It's kind of like it's up to the imagination of like, is she blind? Is she not? Is she trying to resolve something, or is she the ultimate sinner? There's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, and I think I like appreciated only in the like that I felt like there was this like saucy moment where she like just dropped the last head in the last box,
just slammed it.
Yeah, and so I felt like that was a cool just like ending. I have more questions. I feel like in general, I'm like, could she actually get the inheritance? How is she going to play this off like it was she could, because if she comes up as a murderer, she's like, I am fucking shit.
Yeah.
Okay. Anywho, I'm cool like leaving that one where it is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm good with that. I don't. The cops immediately be like, well, you are the adoptive daughter that did all this, but you're dead anyway, so who cares?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, whatever. Sure. That was possibly my least favorite of these 8, to be honest. I had one issue with another one, but it didn't make it in my opinion, like the least watchable. Not that it was unwatchable. It's an interesting story, but that was it for me.
I think the next one I have a lot more questions where it might not be one of my favorites. Like I might like it less than this one.
Fair enough. The next one is also the one that I have a big issue with.
Yeah. So, okay. The next one is called Kill Santa. And we open up, we have this little girl, which I almost couldn't tell if she was going to laugh or she was going to cry. She was like an okay actor. That's fine.
She wasn't a great actress, but the intro music and shots were the prettiest of all 8 of these, actually, as far as like camera work coming into it, and the way that they put it on her and confused you with her was fine. They could have chosen a better actress, but the girl's probably 8 years old or whatever.
Yeah. So maybe you saw things differently too, but I got super confused by this because we saw her and then we had to pan out to what we now understand is probably her sister. And then all of a sudden we cut to a different angle that almost was like the little girl's angle with the sister. And she's like crying. So I didn't know if that was like a time jump or if it was just like let's back up a little bit. She was there doing the crying. I don't know what you interpreted as.
I think they were both figuring out this person was a bad person in their own time frame and kind of like figuring that out in the sink fixing department of this whatever department store.
Okay.
And yeah, it was kind of a time jump, but I think it was like a 5-second, 10-minute thing. Okay. It was like very quick. Like she, in my opinion, before this all happened, they ran into the person at the entrance of this place.
Yeah.
In the Santa costume or whatever, and saw like, holy shit, that's the person that killed our father. And then,
okay, so that was another part of it that I think got a little confused about it. Is like I thought maybe that the sister had gotten like harassed sexually or something like that, but that makes way more sense.
Yeah, I think if you listen to it, they kind of say basically that their father was killed by this Salvation Army kind of Santa guy.
Okay.
In a roundabout way, and I think the little girl kind of catches it like with the initial like face, holy shit.
Sure.
And then she tells the sister, and I'm making all this up in my head because that it has to be meant. And I think then she tells the sister to go and look. The sister comes back crying, and so they just time jump that, come back and goes, oh my god. And then the little girl, when they both agree that it is, goes like, I'm gonna kill him or whatever.
Okay, whatever you saw and however you're interpreting it makes way more sense than any ounce of things that I pulled from it.
It's definitely a weird one.
I was just like, what? Like, why are you? I mean, I could clearly tell that the little girl, but she was just like, the little girl was just so tough, and she's just like, I'm gonna kill this bitch, and I'm like, oh yeah, no, but she like also wants to take care of like her older sister, but somehow her older sister is like more upset than
I think
she
her older
is.
sister just didn't see it and was upset that she didn't even see that in real life or something. Or could even be the opposite of that, honestly.
Yeah, and I mean, imagining grief in different ways too. Again, we're probably giving too much credit, but yeah, people manage grief in different ways too. So if like maybe the little girl's in revenge mode versus like if the older sister's not as close, she might be going into immediately like past the stages of grief into like just like sadness,
anger.
you know? Yeah. So, moving forward, what I love too then is like the little girl's like, I'm going to take care of this. And somehow they devise a plan. She grabs an axe. We go find Santa. And I actually thought the little girl was going to be a little bit more tough, but somehow maybe from the like things we didn't hear, like, you know, I get to experience. The older sister then comes in when the little girl gets the axe taken away and just like slices head off, which what knife is that? I need to own that for protection.
It's a hell of a CG knife, what it is.
Yes.
Yeah, that was my biggest gripe was the CG. Well, you could have done that practically awesome. And I mean, I think what it was I don't think they devised a plan anyway. I think that the younger girl wanted it so bad and the older sister did too and just didn't realize it as quickly. I might be wrong there, but I feel like the younger girl had no way of killing this person anyway. She was too small. That little axe is doing nothing. You barely gonna hit my kneecap. I'm gonna kick you through the front door of this Macy's or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, but in a way, it was nice to just detract her so that I can immediately chop your whole fucking head off. Like, Jesus, that was a little bit much. But if it was practical, this would be my favorite one.
Yeah, I also
of these eight.
I'm just like, I think because there wasn't a lot to it, it was a very quick short. That the beheading, she would have had to have been so fucking strong.
Super
she was
strong,
a tiny lady.
Straight through your spinal cord.
And you would have had a super sharp knife. There's no absolute way
like
that
a lightsaber sharp.
Yeah. This is actually just a lightsaber.
That would have been. They don't really show it. It could be some random futuristic Santa Mall, whatever.
Yeah, that one swipe kill is still just like resonating. That is like too unrealistic.
Yeah, I wrote that too. I was like, why CG? Why is it such a clean cut? Like,
she could have knocked him out with the first hit and then finished it.
Or had the little girl go ahead and chop his head off piece by piece. Yeah, would have been a way better thing for 20 more seconds of film.
Sure. I think it would have been more effective.
For sure.
Because then it would have been a collective fucking thing.
And you could have cut and given them some actual something to cut where it could have been not CG and practical effects, which I'm from Pittsburgh, man. You don't do practical effects, I'm kind of out immediately. Sure. That's a part of it. I mean, we got Savini and shit here. We had like Dawn of the Dead and shit.
Around.
Yeah, come on. It's one of those things like, I'm a horror nerd. You got to give me practical. The CG stuff bugs me. I really like this one because there's so much to unpack for the viewer.
Sure.
So it's really up to your interpretation. Some of them did that, but didn't do it as well. I think this one did it well. My only real gripe with this one is that CG kill, to be honest.
I think you did a really good job of explaining to me because I don't think I fully took that out of it, but I could see it had a more emotional aspect to it that I don't think a lot of them had.
Not at all. Yeah. This one was cool though. I mean, I like that all these two are like Santa, 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 Santa. But
we did get a lot of Santa ones. I was trying to like see the theme. I think Brian got a lot of weird shit, and
they're all interesting in their own way, though.
Yeah. I'm kind of cool for it. I actually, in ways, like appreciate shorts because I think there's a level of difficulty. I'm like just sharing this because I don't think you've listened. Like our first episode, we did cover camp slashers, and mine is Sleepaway Camp 1.
Sleepaway's the best, dude. Yeah.
But my rebuttal, so of the episode right after that is always a revenge episode, and I made them watch There's Something Strange About the Johnsons.
Awesome.
I was like, it's an amazing film, and I was like, it's not talked about that much at all.
Zero, yeah.
And so I was like, but it's like such a quick, effective 30-minute film that just like can hit you in so many different places, and that's why I think there's something about it that I can like appreciate when people try to do something that quick. When you have to use your resources.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm here for it.
I don't know. There's a way to make people think outside the box, and like film is obviously that. That's how you do it. But in 5 or 6 minutes, it's got to be impossible. So you kind of got to give it to these people for doing that.
Yeah.
But good job. I mean, this one was cool. It was weird. I don't know. It made me think. I did have to watch it twice and just be like, what the hell is this about? You know? And I still don't know. I think other people are going to come up to different interpretations. No questions asked.
I'm kind of cool with that, though. Like, I kind of like that.
Yeah, for sure. That's okay with me. Either way, there's a straight slasher film here.
So
this may be one of the shortest ones we watched, too. I think this one was possibly 3 or 4 minutes tops.
I feel like was a miracle, whatever it was called, like a Christmas miracle, might have been just slightly shorter, but probably about the same, maybe, as far as length goes. But I actually felt like a lot of them felt shorter, though, too. Like, even Santa's Coming.
Oh, like the baby one. Okay. That one might be shorter, yeah.
Yeah. So our next one is Bad Santa, which I didn't hate this one at all. So we open to a scene of a family eating dinner. The kids are just asking the usual, like, hey, how does Santa do this shit? I'm like, come on, kid, grow up. You're like fucking 12. Like, get your shit together.
Don't you have older cousins that told you about this already?
Yeah. So the mother then asked them to who got into her like wardrobe. Like she could tell her the presents got into, and they could tell that the kid was kind of maybe like a little coy about it. And then so dad's like, you know what they'd say about liars? They get the fucking Krampus guy coming here. And so he explained Krampus. And if anyone who's listening, which I'm assuming most of you understand, Krampus is basically this evil spirit that if you're bad, he will basically collect young children, put them in his sack and take them to hell.
Absolutely.
Did you go to Krampus at all? A Krampus not?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, he's wearing,
super fun.
I think it's a nod to Krampus. Like, I definitely have Krampus here.
Yeah.
I mean,
this is definitely a Krampus.
I think the whole thing was Krampus. I mean, I don't know that the dad was Krampus or that every dad's Krampus, right? I think that was kind of the vibe I got, was maybe everybody's Krampus, and this is the passing of the.
I'm very curious what your thought is, because I got very confused at the end. So we'll keep going. So anywho, basically the kids go off to bed, but the little daughter, she is like intriguing to me because she's a little shit. Because you can tell, like, when he's, like, the dad's, inquiring about this, she's just, like, a little, like, oh, like, she did something.
As soon as the mom asks, she says, we didn't do it. Well, how do you know he didn't? Answer for yourself or don't
But they blame him.
The first person to speak up is the person that did it. As always, like, the dude sleeping on the bench.
You're an only child, though. Like, how did that work for you?
I have a brother.
You have a brother?
Yeah, he's 7 years younger than me.
I haven't met your brother yet.
He's never around. Like, around here. He's around. And, like, I hung out with him last week or whatever, but... He has 2 children.
Man,
he's
I'm like
never
kicking myself for not knowing the end of it. Anyway, I'm not going to dwell on it. So anyway, we jump to a scene after all of this, and the little boy is tying a string to his toe, and I think part of that is like either he'd be woken up.
That's what I was thinking.
If Krampus like grabbed him to take him is like what I interpret that as.
Whatever he was going to maybe steal out of that stocking. Yeah, if he was going to put the kid in the stocking, which the stocking would be too small, or steal his presents. I'm not really sure what that was about.
Yeah. And then we like jump to the parents are preparing the gifts, and the dad is dressing up as this like evil Santa, which I feel like would have made more sense if he would have dressed up as Krampus that night. You know, that would have like made the A to B like would have made more sense. But he dressed up as like a zombie-esque Santa Claus.
I think it was his best attempt as Krampus. You know, it was just it was a cheat because she says, "Where'd you get this?" And he's like, "The thrift store" or something like that. So I think it's just like I just wanted to find stuff I can cover in blood and goo so I could look like a goofball. And he didn't know what Krampus was. Nobody seems to in general. You know, there's a whole second part of Krampus people never talk about, like the Schwarzpeter and all that stuff. Like
I don't know
the traditional like Krampus. I mean, like the Belschnickel and all that stuff. You know,
you're saying things I don't know about.
This is a traditional. I believe it's like German, but I think like Pennsylvania Dutch have like taken this too and used it in a way like. Schwarzpeter, for lack of a better term, was like his little slave that was like a little boy that he made do sort of stuff. And yeah, there's a whole like folklore to this whole thing.
I'm super into it.
Yeah, it might be Dutch, honestly, too. I'm not sure if it's German or Dutch, but it's probably both a little bit. It's not too far from each other.
Yeah.
But there's a lot more to it. So I think it's him trying to pass on that tradition of
and I think a lot
Krampus.
Of those things too tend to get like wherever its origins is its origins, and then they get slightly altered as like traditions start getting adopted and stuff like that. So
things are not okay, like to have a small slave as your whatever.
Yeah,
you can't really say that anymore, I guess. You know what I mean? So, but it's there. That's history. It's already there. It's written. You know what I mean? Totally. So now we like draw to the scene where the dad is like setting up. Okay, I'm gonna jump ahead. The little girl in the kitchen is finding a knife. Yeah. And then is getting told to go to bed. And she gets to go to bed with her knife. And her mom did not realize that
This is cliche. If your hands are behind your back, you're fucking hiding something. Like,
Mom doesn't care.
She does not give a fuck.
I think this is tradition. This is an annual thing. This makes, because Krampus is an annual tradition. I think this is the tradition where she knows this is going to happen. Last year, Krampus came in and she had no defense and it scared the hell out of her. So she's trying to protect herself. And
but she didn't know what Krampus was when they talked at dinner.
You're right about that. But something came in. You know what I mean? Something scared her. Something made her want to protect herself. And I don't have an answer for why that is or why the mom even said,
she could have even been triggered from dinner being like, oh, Krampus may come and I'm a bad kid. So I'm going to fucking get a knife.
So I'm just going to grab a random whatever out of this block, whatever they have.
Yeah.
But not the cleaver because it's already MIA.
Yeah. So anywho, the dad is walking up the stairs in his costume very slowly, very like eerily, slowly. I thought that was a really good build up. And the kid kind of wakes up. He sees the bad Santa walk into the room. And then we see the motherfucking little girl fucking stab the shit out of him.
But then he just wakes up like nothing happened. There's no blood. There's no nothing.
So what is real?
Is that a dream? I don't know. That was my question there, because the dad's fine in the morning. So does she just stab him for fun? But then he gets given
a cleaver.
And then he gets gifted a giant
and
cleaver
he's a pile
that
of
Krampus
gifts
just
next
used.
to his bed.
Yeah. So he's I don't know, honestly. This one was very confusing
this one was
for
confusing
that.
To me, yeah.
I think there's probably a whole bunch of like folklore tradition that we don't understand that was stuffed into here for a 5-minute little thing. And
I could see that.
I
almost thought it was maybe the mom like sneaking gifts because she was just like, oh, you're a bad kid. And then like they go downstairs.
Do you think that the dad's outfit and the person who sneaks in the room are like identical or similar or not the same?
I thought they were the same.
Okay, I thought they were exactly the same too. I thought it was just dad and a thing. But if he got stabbed to hell and back, like is he a deity or something?
The only other thing I thought was that maybe there was a lot of padding. But I still think they were too.
Knife.
Yeah,
it's like a 9-inch knife.
You're right.
Came in like a goalie and stuff. Come on, man. Maybe though. I mean, maybe it was one of those knives that like goes inside of itself just to make her feel good, and it's just a ritual. Nobody actually dies.
Like they swapped it out for one of those ones that are just like it goes inside.
Yeah, it goes inside of the handle. Like it's 1998 or whatever.
Maybe that's it too.
I mean, honestly, and it's just a tradition of like you have to kill Krampus if he comes to take you.
I just think for the way they were acting the next one, I just like there's certain things that just don't make sense, and I think you probably are onto something that maybe there's something with the folklore, but like it doesn't make sense to me that he would be given a cleaver if something wasn't real. You know what I mean? Like there's something in there, or is a dream within a dream? Maybe he's still dreaming.
It could be a dream within a dream, or maybe it's like you succeeded. You passed the test of you could kill Krampus if he came. You set up because I mean, when she comes in to talk to him and he's tying his toe to the dresser or whatever, she doesn't say shit.
Yeah.
His toe's tied to the dresser. He just throws a blanket on it and no one says shit.
So they'd be like people along the line that would like just play games with their kids.
I think
like,
so.
Did you watch the
I don't think
Shudder?
there's any death whatsoever. I think that's just it. Yeah.
Did you watch the series Slasher on Shudder recently?
I don't think so. Not recently. I haven't had Shudder in a couple of years.
Okay, cool. It's actually
last time I got Shudder was for the first You're a Creep show, and I haven't had it since. I would love to get it again.
Yeah, definitely do if you can. But like Slasher is pretty good. And it's like almost like this mix between what is the book that was like where they hunted people type book. It was an old book. But anywho, it's like almost like this grandfather like always wants to play games with his kids, but like they're like fucked up games. And then she gets turned up on its head. So but it's kind of reminding me of like maybe this family would be that way in like the long run. They're just like touching.
That's what I kind of took from it. Was either it was a dream, or that's literally what my second line here is it was a dream, or that he's just passing on the Krampus, like you have to do this with your kids and it's not real, but it's folklore and maybe they're German or Dutch or whatever. That's like kind of their vibe.
Totally.
But I'm confused as much as this one as the last two.
Hey, listeners, tell us what happened. What do you see? Okay, let's move on to 13.
That's the thing. I mean, what else could it be? You know, like
I think you'd be onto something that I think with sometimes short films, it's like things that are unsaid are like what is said.
That's the biggest spoken word. Yeah,
for sure. So episode or story 13 is called Santa is Coming, which This one also confused the hell out of me, but I feel like it's very simple, straightforward in ways where we have this dad in opening scene. He's literally drinking throughout the whole time. And I feel like in theory, he's probably just trying to manage this young girl who is psychotic. And we have throughout the entire story this screaming going on. And I think in ways it might have been like a flashback of sorts. And maybe I couldn't tell if this was like Japanese or Chinese, and I don't want to be disrespectful. I'm kind of assuming Japanese just because there's more Japanese horror. But I think that was also just like added to this tense feeling throughout it. You don't totally know what's going on, but you know that something fucked up is going on. So we have then at one point the girl screaming, and she has like her dad comes running in, and she's just standing there with the doll in her hand and basically coaxed him into the room so that she could then attack him and like bite his ear. And you're just like, what the fuck? But it sounds like the pretense to some of the screaming and what was going on was that maybe she had another one of these human dolls, or maybe it was her twin sister at that point. Is that kind of where were you at with this?
Oh man, yeah. So
there's so much.
Did you think the flashback was at the beginning? I think the telltale sign for this film was like what's on the walls.
Sure.
So there was like a big horror thing on the wall, like from the get. So I think the beginning is the ending, and the ending is the beginning in a way.
Interesting. Okay.
So like if you look at the beginning, there's like they kind of showcase obviously like the Jason mask and like all the films and stuff that he's into. But whenever they go back to like when there's twin sisters, there's none of that in the house. The walls are clean. There's nothing there. There's no horror movies. So I think like in some way, maybe this dude like paid homage to like the occult or something in his life. And the sister was maybe too talkative. And so for some reason he had to shut her up. And
do you think it was him though, or it was her, the daughter?
I don't think it was the daughter. I think it was him. But maybe he's drinking heavily because he has to deal with the daughter now that did this to her own sister. I don't think there's another fourth person in this thing at all.
No, I don't think there is either. I think that's an interesting viewpoint, because I also like, I don't know a lot about Japanese horror, but I know it oftentimes it will go in like the way they look at like horror can sometimes be funny, but I also like sometimes look at things very backwards, which I think is a great point we just made. So thinking about it that way, that makes a lot more sense, that all the screaming is like literally I do think the daughter killed the twin sister.
For sure, yeah.
Because she's the one who's bitching about the girl being too talkative the entire time.
Yeah, I like you better as a doll is the thing that stands out of my head, at the very end of the thing. So I think it's one of those like, Dad, this girl won't shut up ever, so we have to do something. And not necessarily occultish, but occultish in a way. Like, how do we shut this girl up? How do we make her stop screaming? How do we, for lack of a better term, like cure the noise or whatever? Do
you almost think because that the human doll that we then see towards the end, they're like the quote unquote the beginning that we are meeting, that I think, what if it was the actual twin sister, but like you could tell she had longer eyelashes, she was just so modified in ways, but she was like, she looks just like my twin sister, but she looks dead inside.
I don't think the doll was ever a doll. I think the doll is a human, and we don't see it as the characters don't see it as a human. They see it as a doll, and so do we for the first half of the film.
Totally. And what I think might be the case is either they took the twin sister and made her that, maybe by a lobotomy or something like that, or through like possible trafficking or something like that. They could buy a girl that looks like them and who might already be the same thing, where she's either drugged out or has a lobotomy.
He does say something like, I will find you a twin, or I promised you a twin sister or something like that. So you're onto something there for sure. Yeah. That was not a thought I had in any way on it, but that actually does make more sense than like faking some way of making her shut up forever or whatever, you know what I mean? Lack of better term. I mean, I'm not really sure what else. This one was weird. I mean, all I really got was it's kind of in reverse in a way, you know? I
think that's a cool point to make, because I definitely did not get that at all, and I'm really happy that you caught that.
It was really just what gave it away to me was just because I'm such a horror nerd, like I saw all the stuff on the background, all the different masks and all the everything, and I think the end is like her basically biting the guy or something like that. It was kind of like an end of it, you know? Yeah. I mean, just because it's such a nice, tidy, clean house, it's very minimalistic at the end of the film. Yeah. When they show the human, And so, yeah, I don't necessarily know why that all happened or how it even happened.
Maybe that's something else that I think, again, could probably be totally explored with like just the history of like Japanese horror though too. You know what I mean? I bet you there's something there that maybe has been done in the past where like it's like maybe a trope or something like that they're trying to go after and whatnot. But all in all, I didn't hate this one. I actually didn't hate it. I think I was just confused, but I do have a lot of like appreciation for like Japanese horror too.
Yeah,
I just don't think I've explored it enough because I've seen some very fucked up things that I'm like, this is putting me in my discomfort zone, but I kind of am okay with, like I like things that put me in that space.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird one. I really didn't know what to expect out of this one in general. It was just kind of super strange. I do like film that's in reverse and makes you kind of think about why and how, but
yeah,
this one didn't give you enough like answers to make you understand at the end. I feel like maybe literally one more minute of something could have helped a ton here. But I didn't hate this one. I just don't understand it as much. It did kind of feel like Sleepaway Camp a little bit with the flashback scenes where it was like the mom forcing, or maybe the parent's dad, whatever, forcing somebody to be something that they're not, forcing the doll to be silent when it's loud, forcing somebody to be angry when they're sad or quiet when they're, whatever. That's all I got out of it, though. I really don't even have notes on this one because I was like, this dude's just clearly a horror fan at the end of the movie, but not at the beginning. And the flashback means it seemed like very forceful to shut this kid up. This kid was annoyingly loud to this guy, so he drank her to drown. And now he has to drink anyway because he basically killed her or lobotomized her or at least shut her up for life.
Wow. Yeah. No, for sure. I feel like all of these somehow I need to do more research on. And I'm just like, they just cause more questions than answers.
Yeah, I probably will go back and watch this like next Christmas or whatever, to kind of think about it for a while and see what I even remember, to be honest.
Cool. I think this next one's probably going to be pretty fast because I feel like everything about it was so straightforward. So short number 14 was called A Christmas Miracle. And I pretty much got that. We got mother. She lost a baby.
Though she says father right off the bat.
What's up?
She says father right off the bat. She says father, I'd come and visit you tonight. Does that mean Jesus, God, the baby, her dad?
110% religious. And then this figure that comes to meet her is feeding off of that. So I initially was like, is this like a witch? Yeah, or a deity, but I think she's an evil deity.
Absolutely.
Like immediately. She's feeding her like, what would you give to actually get your child back? Your life back.
Take
is
what
way
you wished for,
Yeah. And she's like, anything. So we get this whole thing where she then goes and digs up her child's grave because somehow she's like, if I find the body, then this woman can like maybe come back to life. She digs it up. The baby's alive. And they're like, oh my God. But I feel like in all of these stories, like this one was too predictable and I kind of just hated it a lot.
It was obvious. Yeah, it was very obvious. I mean, so it begins, I guess. It was just kind of like, oh, wow, great. Good for you. But the only thing I had was the question of, I told you I'd visit you tonight, father, and then goes and digs up a baby. But again, a religious thing. It's a Christmas miracle. It all makes sense as far as like religious thing. This one leaves you with no questions whatsoever. But it's at least shot well. It almost has like a sepia tone vibe to it. So it's definitely creepy. The cemetery is like, what, 1920s or earlier creepy. Totally. Why the hell would the baby be in a hillside from 19
whatever? I'm not gonna lie though. I feel like if you put the story in like Sabrina or something like that, like I'm just like all of these things. I'm like, or even just plenty of like we've just heard this story before, and I'm just like can't
CW replay it, you know, for the next 100 years. Yeah, great.
So, and I think like really my takeaway from it was like that they were trying to rebirth like this devil, and they needed a baby to do it or something like that. So giving
or just
her
another
life,
evil person in the world. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm pretty sure like
there's nothing to take away from that. Honestly, it's not the worst one of like the 24 films, but it's like a nice, tidy little package. You know, it gives you the beginning, gives you the end, and it's actually a good job for 5 minutes, but it's just nothing to talk about.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. Moving on. Lost Cottage in the Countryside. So I think they were speaking Spanish in this one. So we have a woman who arrives at her sister's house and find her sister just like destroying every single ornament on her tree. She's clearly hysterical. I kind of was like, oh my God, this woman's having a panic attack.
Yeah.
What the
or
fuck
she just hates Christmas.
Yeah. She
why
really
is every ornament glass? Jeez, I'm not a huge Christmas fan either, but I'm not going to break your whole tree down.
Hey, hey, marketing people, get your ornament companies on the right page, please.
Plastic,
please
maybe something else we could put in landfills.
So this woman, so we had sisters going on. She's like, "Where's Dad?" And she's like, "Dad's in the bedroom, blah blah blah, or in his office." So she goes there. Dad's fucking dead. Dad is
slit throat.
Dead as fuck.
Just gurgling out blood.
So she's freaking out. She then goes to what I'm assuming is the sister's kids, so her niece and nephew.
Children, yeah.
They're dead as fuck. So now all the pieces are coming together.
But both weirdly facing upright.
Yeah.
Like you would be screaming and freaking out. But yeah, you know.
Like you would be like, definitely distorted in some way.
turning.
And so now we're like, sister's definitely deranged. So she's freaking out. She's like, oh my God, runs out, which I didn't know exactly why I had to really work hard to think about, like, why would she just like pause and be like, oh, is Dad in there? And she's like, yeah, Dad's fine. Dad's okay. Everything's fine.
She's like, leaving. Did you bring the presents? He's like, she's like, yeah, I got the presents. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, super awkward. So then she runs away. Then the sister calls all of them. They're not fucking dead. What?
Grandpa's like, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up.
Yeah. And guess what? Sister fucking kills herself because she's like, oh my God. Which, granted, I don't understand why. I don't fully understand why she would kill herself.
Because her whole family's dead? I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I would just leave and call the cops. And I'd be like, I
wouldn't hang myself immediately.
But I felt like the sister's reaction, she had the snottiest face on her. She's like, well, even in death, she's like trying to get attention.
Yeah, she wants attention in death. Yeah.
I was like, this is so
But even the kids are like, oh, she's dead. Oh, well. You know?
Yeah.
They're like, she's okay.
La muerta.
Moving on. It's like
they definitely didn't freak out as much. No one freaked out
even
appropriately.
in Spanish you could tell they don't care. I don't speak much Spanish, but you could tell just from facial expressions they don't care.
No, they were super hateful towards each other.
Maybe she was just, seeking attention all the time.
I think they genuinely hated each other.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. That seemed to be like obvious.
And everyone was on board with trying to fuck with her.
Because even when she came in the room and was breaking bulbs, she was kind of like, what are you doing? Quit. Oh no. If you're like breaking shit around my dad's house, I'm going to be like, dude, even if it's my brother or sister, like, stop doing this, dude. Like, it's like, I'm going to stop you first and then go find Dad before you break everything on the tree. Right. Yeah, there's not a lot to unpack here either. I hate to say that, but like,
no, and I think it's hard because I think what in these shorts that we really can take away is like, what can we imagine? And I think all of our brain power went into the earlier ones.
That's big time.
Maybe gave us more to work with.
Well, I think this one. I mean, it really is like the only thing this leaves you hanging with is like, why did she kill herself, and why do they hate each other so much? Is she really attention hungry that much that she would also kill herself to be part of this family? Was she not really part of the family and she really was like struggling to be dead with them? Sure.
But also, why would her reaction to like other people being dead? It's like, I find that to be just so odd. I would go beat the shit out of my sister if I knew she just killed my siblings or my parents. Like, I would probably go beat the shit out of them, and then I would tie them down and then call the cops.
But yeah, she doesn't. No one really. I never really thought about that. The sister may have killed them or whatever, because nobody's dead, so it never really crossed my mind.
But that's what she assumed. That's what she assumed. So. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I would probably whoop somebody's ass instead of just hang myself from things that probably won't even hold my weight.
Woe is me! They're all gone, and it's got my sister left.
It's not even your kids.
Doesn't make sense to me. Like that. There's no logical reason. And actually, our last one was my favorite. I don't know about you. We can talk about favorites afterwards, but let's go through it.
Really? Wow.
Yeah,
okay. That's impressive. That's a weird one. All right.
It was a weird one. But I felt like when we talk about the shorts, like having a beginning, middle, and end, and like, the
You're probably right. I mean, it did wrap it up nicely. It gave you the full story in 5 minutes.
I did think they did that.
This is probably honestly 4 minutes too. Like you said, it's possibly one of the shortest ones of these 8.
Yeah. So we open up and we have this little boy brushing a toy horse's hair. And maybe also it was my favorite because...
Oh, I thought you were going back to Christmas Miracle. All right, got you.
Anyway. Not a Christmas Miracle.
So I agree with you. I actually think in a way, except for like kind of a few here and there, this whole 24 stories gets better as it goes on.
Sure. Okay, cool. I'm glad you like. I actually haven't watched the last ones. I didn't watch the first 8 either. I was watching 4 hours, and I was like, I'm going to watch them.
I watched all of these.
But I was like, I'm going for the focus here. But yeah, so our last episode or short is called Milk and Cookies. So the short opens with a little boy brushing a toy horse's hair. And maybe I had some weird affection for that because, hashtag horse girl. I'll let that ring true in all of our episodes. And then we have these two people arguing over this child's well-being. We've come to find out they're brother and sister. And the sister really wants to take the kid because after the mother either left or I think she just left, the dad just doesn't seem to give a fuck. He doesn't understand his kid. He doesn't try to understand his kid. He's just
abusive.
Yes, he's abusive as fuck. He just thinks he's such a weirdo and he's like not into manly things.
Yeah,
so he's like, I fucking hate him so bad.
He's upset that the kid isn't as manly as he tries to be, which is an internal problem for this man. Yeah.
And I feel like too, both of those lead characters, they looked really familiar to me. And I feel like maybe I just saw them on like Shudder series because they don't look like high tier actors per se, but they look like
familiar to you.
Yeah. So anywho, the sister aunt tells him to write to Santa with what you need. And in this whole series or part of this, the dad breaks the leg on the fucking toy horses like it's so bullshit. It
because he
pisses me
doesn't
off.
want the kid to play with toy horses.
Yes. And the dad is pretty much only worried about someone eating his fucking chips. It is a pink-haired
tiny horse that he's combing the hair of, though, just to be clear. Like, it's not that it matters or whatever, but it is definitely not like a John Wayne horse. It's like a My Little Pony horse.
Sure.
But whatever. It's irrelevant. But it's still, you could tell the dad is mad that the kid is effeminate or whatever.
Yes. He's definitely very much so that. So in the first letter that the kid writes to Santa, he asks for the horse's leg to be fixed. So we then flash forward.
Gallops is his name.
Gallops.
Such a good name.
It is really cute. We come back. The dad and the son come back and they're like, oh my God, Gallops is fixed, blah, blah, blah. And the dad's like, what the fuck? Also, where's my chips? He's like, this is all he's focused on.
Where the hell did you get a glue gun? From the attic or whatever? And he's like, what's a glue gun?
Yeah, I thought that was really cute.
Because he's a little cute kid. Yeah, he has no idea. He has no idea.
Yeah.
He's like a little 8-year-old boy or something.
So he throws the horse away and tells him to go to his room and then locks him in his room.
And looks for his chips again.
Looks for his fucking chips again. Though, let's be real, the day before, he did steal away a couple cookies because the dad didn't feed him dinner because he's a piece of shit. So he's like yelling, I need dinner. And he's like, okay, I got cookies. Okay, I'm fine. He writes another letter to Santa. And this letter to Santa, he's like, I wish my door never had a lock. Wakes up the next day, there is no doorknob on this fucking door. And the dad is also like, what the fuck? Yells at him, beats the shit out of him. And then we come back to the third night.
You see this kid with a black eye at this moment for sure.
God, like that wrecked me a little bit. So then the third letter. The third letter we don't exactly know, and I think that's probably purposeful.
They don't read it, yeah. Because he either wants out or he wants his father murdered or out of his life or however you want to say that.
Yes. And I actually think this murder is actually pretty good.
It's
because
really good.
Everyone's asleep. He puts the letter under the door or he like just hides it somewhere or it was near the fireplace. And what we find out is that there's someone living in their attic. And it's this like homeless looking dude. He looks kind of tough, long hair. He looks brutish. And he sees the letter and he's like, cool. Boom.
He's like holes in his boots. He's clearly a homeless man. He's living in the attic, but he's not well kept in any way.
Yeah. But he likes his cookies and likes his chips. We come to find this fucking out.
And he likes the kid.
Yeah, and he likes the kid for whatever reason. I think also he just hates, like he just wants to protect. Maybe he has like this like emotional connection to him. I like this aspect of this like killer. So we come to that night. He decides the dad always sleeps with the TV on. This killer shuts the TV off, and the dad wakes up and is like, "Oh my God, TV." Son, did you turn off my TV?
You know I like my TV on when I sleep.
And then he turns it on, and then we get the killer to the side. I thought that was a good jump scare. Like that was it was a perfect jump scare.
That's the first time you see like his face and his whole like I'm gonna kill you now.
Yes. So dad is killed. Kid is kind of awake for this too. He hears these things going on, and he knows something. He still thinks it's Santa though, taking care of him.
Does he?
So I think he still thinks it's Santa. I do think in whatever Santa is in his
Christmas
mind.
Is every day.
Maybe. Well, his aunt told him
his sister
that to write him. Yeah, the guy's sister told him to like write to Santa.
Yeah.
And it's like write him every day. And he realizes that something's happening every day, so he's going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
So we come to like whatever. Wake up the next day, dad's dead. Please come. Aunt comes and takes the son, which is what she wanted. It's what the kid wanted. And he thanks Santa.
Yeah, he says, thank you, Santa. Yeah, he's looking at a little statue. Yeah.
Thank you, Santa. So, yeah.
Yeah, this one's nice. I mean, this one has a lot to unpack. This one's actually like, it's definitely one of the better ones of the, I'd say it's probably top 5 of the whole
What do you
thing.
want to unpack?
Why does she call him Uncle Jack from the get?
She calls him Uncle Jack. Which one? The little kid?
The little boy's name is Uncle Jack throughout the whole film. But she is for sure his aunt. Yeah. So
I actually don't think I noticed that. I'm sorry.
She says it 3 times, and like it's at the very beginning and at the very end, like very poignant. And so it took me a while. I can't figure it out, but how in some way, I'm assuming this woman is easily 20 years older than this little boy.
Yeah. Do you think maybe that guy got stuck with him maybe by another sister?
Something, and that's why he hates him or something. Like somebody else did leave. Remember they say last time he asked a female to leave or whatever, then the woman left or however it goes similarly like that. And maybe that's what it is. I don't know. That was one of the sticking out questions. And the Christmas everyday thing is like, this kid either knows somebody's in his attic because at least twice they hear somebody walking on the whatever.
Yeah.
Everybody knows Christmas is an everyday. I mean, maybe this dude doesn't have a great dad. He didn't tell him shit. So that is a good answer for that. But like every little kid, even without a dad or whatever, knows that Christmas is once a year. And that's when this magic happens. And so when he's hearing stuff, in the attic once or twice, like
I think he thinks there's something magical about the idea of writing to him, and I think like because he's seen that like cause and effect, he's just fair. Like cool, like
it does answer the thing every day. So I would keep writing to anything that said the same. Whether
whatever name you put to it, for sure.
Yeah, if it's a homeless guy in the attic, and so did the sister.
I don't think he ever actually realizes it's a homeless dude in the attic. Because I don't think he had a visual of who it was.
I don't think he knows that, but I don't think he knows what's going on there. I think he might think like the sister's doing some of this stuff or whatever his aunt is doing.
Because she did say she's trying her best to get him out of there.
That's what they both wanted. They say it a couple times. And
interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. There was a couple of that.
Interesting. It seemed like he in ways though still believed in Santa Claus.
Oh, he definitely still believed. He was young enough and like, innocent. I mean, they locked him in a room most of the time or whatever, but it was weird. This one's definitely strange too. They're all weird. They're all cool in their own way because they have their own, like you decide,
Yeah.
Right back to that. But
I mean, I think we're going to touch on it. Do you have any final thoughts or even what was your favorite? Honestly, very curious.
I mean, my favorite's like a little bit further on or whatever, but out of these ones, I really feel like I don't know. I don't even know if I have a favorite. I think they're all pretty great, except for there's one I clearly don't like. But I think in general, like, I don't know. It just fits into like a good holiday mood of like these quick little snippets of whatever. If I were to watch this again, I would absolutely take it in like 3 parts the way that we're doing minisodes of this or whatever. Because I think it is too much to unpack. If you were to just watch all 24 of these in a row, you're almost wasting your time. There's so many little nuances of each one. We could sit here and talk about each one of these for like 20 minutes, or we probably also did. But yeah, I don't know that I have a favorite. There's so much here with all these little cool films. So
yeah. Like I mean, after hearing Brian's, I was like, man, I'm gonna walk into a shit show. I don't know if I'm gonna like anything, and I hate it. Like and maybe I think
starts
in ways,
slow and it ends amazing. That's the thing.
And I think in ways I keep maybe sometimes like I give things too much of a benefit of the doubt because I don't have as much experience. So I'm just like, everything's like okay until I realize that maybe something isn't. I can definitely tell what I don't like. I think there was a couple in here that I just was like, nah, whatever. But I do agree that I think a lot of them were just like fine. I think they fit into like a certain way. But I do agree also that I think I'm going to have to go back and watch the first 8 and then like before Steve's episode comes out, watch the last 8 too, because I think you're telling me that they all get better. That's cool.
Well, there's definitely 2 coming up that if you haven't seen that just become like some pretty cool kills, like non-CG stuff, some pretty weird stuff too.
Hell yeah.
It definitely gets better and better. And these weren't bad. I mean, honestly, only really one of these is what I'd say you can easily skip. But yeah, the first 8 were good. It's like kind of getting the mood set. That'd be like a great first day. You know what I mean? Like, these are cool. Can unpack those. They're a lot easier to unpack. It flies
pretty fast too. Because when I had
too fast, that's actually an issue for me. Because it's like, man, I'm still thinking of the last one. Like, we're on to the next, and not like in this conversation, but while watching it, all this happening within like 2 hours and 10 minutes or whatever it is like a lot. That was a lot.
I was a little surprised because I felt like this section that we had to watch, that I was like, whoa, this like seems super fast for a 2-hour movie. And then you put it in concept that there's 24 of them.
24 films.
Holy shit. That's insane. Do you have you ever like had a favorite advent calendar? Did you ever get like that cheese one from Aldi or anything like that? Or did you ever do a beer one?
I've never done a beer one. Nate got the cheese ones. One of my employees, my sales guy from the last year from Aldi, and it was pretty fun. We're all big cheese fans around here, except for my one guy who's intolerant. So we're like, sorry, buddy.
I'll eat your share, thank you.
Yeah, I'm a big Lego guy, so we always get the Lego ones. Those are always pretty great.
Nice.
There's a bunch of cool ones. I'm a big Lego City guy, so all the different ones are nice. But advent calendars is a great idea. You know,
they're fun.
I'm the guy who's going to rip the whole damn back off and be like, yes,
I'm pretty bad too, and I'm definitely have been guilty
days or whatever.
Yes, I'm very guilty of that too.
This year my dog has one, so each one's a little different treat, and it's actually pretty great.
I actually saw one that's like a reusable one that you can just like hang on your door and you can just like put the treats in.
That's
and
great.
I've been like very tempted to do that. But thank you so much for being on.
For sure.
It's
Thank you
such
so
a
much.
fucking blast.
This was fun.
Dude.
I actually enjoyed like going through the film, writing about it, and just BSing with you in general. So it was cool.
Yeah, dude. Thank you so much. Hey, if you guys are in the Pittsburgh area, hit up Apis. They have the sickest mead. Literally, this is a spot. I can come to your spot anytime and be super stoked. And you have pinball machines. You always are playing movies. You make some good shit. So I'll stop gushing over you. But I love you and you're awesome.
Even if you're not in the area, you can hit us apismead.com. We ship to over 40 states.
Boom.
You can find us at every like Giant Eagle, Fresh Time, whatever around the area, even a little bit in Ohio. So yeah, check us out, apismead.com.
Yeah. Anywhere else you want to plug on social media or anything?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same. It's Apis Mead and Winery, Facebook, Apis Mead, Instagram. You know, just look up APISMEAD. You'll find us.
We will tag the fuck out of you too. So cool. Well, cheers, man.
Cheers.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate
Have a good
you.
holiday season, bro.
Halloween is forever.
Halloween is forever.